Today we are going to talk about the number of US home buyers, why we've seen them drop, how they're outpacing sellers, what it means for the market, and what's currently going on in Tulsa and how that's impacting everything. If you don't know who I am, I'm Stephen Brox. I'm one of the co-founders of More Agency here in Tulsa, and today we're going to dive straight in to what we've been looking at this week in the market and seeing what's going on. So the first thing is this report here we received from Redfin, which states the number of US home buyers just dropped to a record low, shifting it further into buyers' favor. So what does that actually mean? Well, it means sellers have outnumbered buyers by 51% right now. And what you're seeing in the market, if you look at that trend we've seen, this down here in 2022 was obviously COVID, right? This little section here. Now, since then, we've gone all the way up here, and we are up here now. We've basically flipped everything. So now you're seeing more buyers on the market than sellers. Well, if we look at that, what does the data actually show? That it shows us that gap is widening. Now, why could that be widening? Well, obviously interest rates right now haven't been the most friendly to buyers. This year, we've seen a big shift. We have the war in Iran, we have inflation, we have jobs reports, we have all of these factors coming out that are determining and impacting the markets. And so what it's doing is it's starting to slow down that buyer activity. Now, I do think there is opportunity in there, and we will look at that in a little minute with the data. Now, as we're talking about this, buyers are starting to fall to record lows, widening that gap. Pending sales also retreated in July nationally as mortgage rates hit a 2026 high. So this is from Realtor.com. By the way, Realtor.com's website has some incredible articles. If you want to just go on there and look at stuff about real estate, learn about real estate, read some blog posts, it's a fantastic resource for anyone looking to understand what's going on. And in here, they just cite how geopolitical realities are starting to take a toll on the housing market. With instability globally, the 10-year treasury will also feel that impact. Mortgage rates, if you look historically, track the 10-year treasury. So if the 10-year treasury goes up, typically mortgage rates go up. When the 10-year treasury goes down, mortgage rates go down. Basically, the 10-year treasury is interest that America pays people to lend it their money. Therefore, you can go and lend that money internally after, or externally after, or whatever way they describe it, right? I'm a realtor, not an economist. But what you have to remember is when there's uncertainty in the market nationally, globally, it increases the interest rate. The reason that is you have to be more desirable for someone to give them your money to make sure you're a sure, safe place for them to go back to. So with that, that is what's taken the toll on the housing market. Now, we talked about the fixed rate. Again, another resource I love. This is on the St. Louis Fed website. This is the 30-year conventional loan, how it's been this year. You can see we went through a big dip. Things got really low in February. We saw below 6% for the first time in a very long time in February this year. And what that spurred was it spurred a lot of people getting with lenders. And when they got with their lender, they would talk about, okay, what sort of mortgage rate can I get right now? What can you do to help me? And when you get with your lender in those situations when rates drop, you can do what they call, you can basically lock in your mortgage rate. And when you lock in your mortgage rate, that means that you had a time period of about 60 days to shop. So if people are locking in their mortgage rate during this period here where we're seeing everything downturn and kind of give you that decrease in interest rates, and they probably locked in as it started to go back up because their lender probably called them and said, hey, we're seeing this shift up again. That meant those people that were locking in March were probably buying in like May and June and those time periods. Well, if we look at July's numbers for Tulsa, it shows us that to be the case. So at the very top of this report, this is a report I get in Tulsa to look at, real estate report. You can see here at the beginning, July this year, pretty much everything was positive. We had more closed listings, we had more pending listings, we had more new listings. The price went up, the sales price went up. The percentage of sales to list price, which I'm going to talk about in a minute in the current market, also went up to nearly 100%. Now that number is important. We're going to come back to this, but that number is important because that sales to list price is essentially at time of closing or going under contract what the list price was. Okay, so we're going to get back to that. Talks about days on market. That creeped up a little bit, but 1 day is not a big deal. And at the end of the month, we had less inventory than we had last year. Now, if we look at this stat, this is from the Mortgage Nerd on X. They did a post where they shared basically this is the way August historically is interest rate wise as well, moving forward. So if you're wondering about rates, where are they? Pretty much this is the norm. And when we go look at July, we see all of those people that locked in their mortgages in July, locked in their mortgages to close in July. So I'm talking about people who locked in March, April or May. They all closed. We saw an increase right here in the number of pending listings in July. We saw an increase in the number of new listings. Why? Because the majority of people need to sell to buy. We also saw at the end of July a decrease in activity. Why? Because people made the most of that dip in interest rates. Then we go to months of supply of inventory. 3.16 months of inventory. There was a dip this year compared to last year. What is absorption rate and what does MSI mean? Basically, in a nutshell, this is a number realtors use that says if nothing else changes, if no new listings come to market, if everything stays exactly the way it is and nothing changes, this is how long it would take for every home to be bought up if no new inventory comes to market. It's used, it helps show absorption rate, and you can see the 5-year trend here. Obviously, it's creeped up after COVID because during COVID, things were flying off the shelf. But that wasn't real. COVID wasn't a real market. So this shows us again that we've seen a trend this year where people have capitalized on those interest rates when they came around, and people are watching. You have to remember, life still happens. We are fast approaching 5-6 years beyond when COVID was here as an issue. People that bought during COVID, their life has changed, right? They may have had one child then, they may have 2 or 3 now. Their houses are getting smaller. Life is happening. They're having to move. They may have got divorced since. They may have got a new job since. They may have got a promotion. All of these things that happen that keep the market moving. But if I'm buying right now when interest rates are just as we saw here, I'm looking today at 6.6%. As a buyer, I kind of feel a little screwed over when I'm coming up to the house, the front door of the house. So I need you to make me feel good. That means getting your list price right. So what I have here is some data. The data here that I pulled for traditional Midtown in Tulsa, okay? If you're in Tulsa, there's some debate over what Midtown really is. But look, this is traditional Midtown. And what you're seeing is everything that closed in this part of Tulsa. And I think I did, the previous 45 days. What we're looking at here, these columns, we have close price by list price, close price by original list price. So again, list price at time of closing, and then list price by original price. What did they list at when they hit the market and where did they close? And why I'm pointing this out is I've arranged these by cumulative days on market. How long did they sit on market? And these early ones, they match up. They match up because people pay what list price is very early on in the listing period, right? They're gonna, typically if you've been on the market 4 or 5 days, why would you negotiate much? Like, hey, let's just get the house sold. We've been on the market 4 days, give me the offer I want. I've only been on the market 4 days. Maybe there's someone out there who's gonna come buy in 45 days and give me cash for the house. Newsflash, there probably isn't, but anyway, these are things that you see on this data. Like we can see it in this data, right? It's very evident. Now, as we get to the bottom end, and we see here, these are the ones that have been on the market a little longer. And what I want you to notice and pay attention to and see here, this house, for example, sold for 92% of original list price, but 97 at time of listing. We have another one down here, 86% of original list price, but 89 at time of listing. 95 original, 97 at time of listing, 87 of original, 99 of listing. So what does that mean? Well, it means when you get list price right, you're very close to getting exactly list for it. And if you're not sure about that, well, let's just look at the data. It tells us right here, 100% is the median list price average. So when you price correctly, the average group of buyers will pay that for you on your listing. And so when you see some of these other ones, they've sat longer. This one had to come off 10% of the original list price to sell and then further 5.5% to get a contract on it. And you see some crazy ones here, 75% of original list price. This is just bonkers after 391 days. Okay, that's an extreme, Stephen, nearly a year. Okay, well, let's find this one. What we got here? We got 113 days, 87, 99% of list price. So my advice to you right now is if you are a seller looking to sell a property in the market and that's something you want to do, I would encourage you to be aware of where you're listing. The successes we've had this year and that I've had personally with sellers that have sold quickly is they've not wanted to mess around. They've made it very clear to me when we've met, Stephen, I don't want to be sat in the market for a long time. I want to get my property sold as soon as possible. And so with that being said, if you're someone who's looking to get on the market this year, make the most of getting that launch right. We can't get that wrong. We have one chance to launch. We've got to get the list price wrong. But if you do launch and things aren't going quite the way you want them to, you need to be ready to react and prepare and pivot. So have your next price that you're going to go to ready, talk to your agent about that, and have a marketing strategy ready. It's so important. When we sit down with sellers, we talk to you about your listing strategy. What is it? Because we've just seen there are fewer buyers out there. Buyers feel like they're getting a rough deal when they come up to the front door of the house because everything is so expensive right now. So I'll just implore you, if you're looking to sell your home this year, have a strategy in place. Be realistic about your number, maybe see the bigger picture. And as always, if you have any questions or anything like that, comment below. We're going to try and subscribe and build something out of this. But you need anything, please let me know and we'll do all we can to help you with your real estate needs in Tulsa. Have a great day.